Hello, my people. So I keep delaying doing these solos, and I really don't think it's my best work when I'm just talking and running my mouth, meaning I haven't written something out, but there's always constantly something to talk about. This is basically like a diary, I feel like, for everybody, right? So, being unstaged and unplanned, so I think like a lot of the stuff that I post, I don't always talk about all my spiritual occurrences and different things. And no, I am not ready to tell you about all of them my entire life. But I actually just posted something about explaining coincidences. And starting from the beginning of just this whole spiritual talk thing, for those of you who haven't listened to me before, is that growing up both Baptist and Buddhist, I related to Buddhism more. And that really has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about right now, but I'm going to speed it up and forward. Um, you know how we see ourselves as, we don't always see each other ourselves, how other people view us. And so we only know how we are and what we consider to be normal. So when I was growing up, all that I want to say is that I guess you would say I was intuitive. That word I never really understood, but I just consider it a part of basically paying attention. And so, since I've always from a young age looked at the world and society in a certain way, government's doing this, this and that, whatever, why are they doing this? So, if you want to say I was conscious or I'm old soul or whatever people want to say, okay. So, looking at American traditional living and these sorts of things that I just could not relate to, which again, I'll go back and say, um, you get older or you graduate, most people go to college, have kids, have the big white wedding, the picket fence, the two kids and a dog in suburbia. That is what I'm talking about, that I couldn't totally relate to, and becoming a soccer mom. So I didn't dream of all these sorts of things. So without going off too farhand, okay, so I had those types of my thoughts and thinking. Well, when I was about 23, um, not only I said I wanted to be able to read people's mind like my mom because she was highly psychic, and a lot of us have psychic qualities, right? Intuitive qualities, but we really just don't know how to hone in on them. There's actual classes. Some people are born more enhanced than others, just like how people can see dead people. So I think as a teenager, I didn't get a lot of contact from the spiritual world, but as I got older, meaning things in my sleep would happen to me. I would see things or things, all kinds of stuff, somebody, it felt like there was like a cat walking on the blanket or something blowing in my face and waking me up. Um, Not really out of body experiences, but things like that. All this stuff that I don't ever really talk about. It's not because I don't want to. It's just a whole nother area and can of worms to open. Okay, so I always wanted to read people's minds. And always was intrigued in esoteric and supernatural stuff, all of that, still to this day. Which is why I still got to know something more still about dark side stuff and all this stuff coming out in movies. The Exorcist, that movie scared me for years. And so I still need to explore that. So speeding it up is around that time when I started reading. I've talked about all these Ernest Holmes books that I love. Was able and got really comfortable with the word God. And it was really about connecting and the philosophies and all those sorts of stuff. And that's when I started really diving in and learning about all these different things and reading Napoleon Hill. So coincidences back then, I looked at, yeah, it was a coincidence, but I wasn't putting anything together yet. I was like, that's weird. Then as I became an adult, and again, not to get off too much, get into that subject too much, but in that time period of 23, when I was reading and learning about this stuff, and one of my favorite books also, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, um, I started putting things together like, wait a minute, all these things I've thought about, they kind of have happened in my life. This is at the same time of realizing the outside world and my life experiences is like, well, this is not what I was taught. This is not what I thought about these people or these situations or whatever it is. So I started thinking even more so for myself. I guess I would best describe that. Okay. So trying to condense everything here and not talk so fast. So I started looking at things. Okay, there's a divine sense of order. Oh, I must interject right here. I have never had a experience with, if you want to say that everybody talks about, with Jesus specifically, like he looks like this or whatever, or anything like that. My things have just been, like I just told you, like in my sleep contact, and then in my reality, just different things coming together. But nothing like really angelic or anything like that. And never seen anything. I just always hear these stories. Okay, so reading these books, looking at coincidences as like, that wasn't a coincidence. That was life, like universe, source, God showing me that everything is connected. Okay, cool. So remember, I'm a book reader. I've always read. I continue to read, educate myself. I do know about tarot cards, and I don't like it that it's actually talked about very negatively in the sense like it's going to the dark side and all this sort of stuff, because I've seen a lot of benefits with it. A lot of benefits, but also I don't take as truth. Okay. And so you walk away and you're like, okay, that's cool, or that validated that, or whatever it is. Okay. So this is around the part 2 that I'm still like, as far as organized religion, teaching myself and realizing all the like different parts of it, and all of us basically going for the same thing in terms of divine truth and love. So life's connection, you start putting the puzzle pieces together and start realizing the pattern of your relationships and the different people that they like. When I'm learning about law of attraction, of course, like The Secret, for those of you who haven't seen it, like seeing who is around you and how you are a part of it and what you're drawing to you, and also learning about our soul connections and the different relationships that we have in our life. And it seems really basic, right? But when you're first learning about this stuff, it's really not, especially when you're not sure what you believe. I believe in the Buddhist philosophy and all those sorts of ways of living, and I take bits and pieces of it and the reincarnation aspects, but I think I still wasn't sure at that point. There's something going on there. I knew my mission and purpose. I knew I was here to do something and help others. That was from the age of 13, and I thought it was going to be specific to teenage girls with body image issues. And so I wrote my book around age 35, like a self-help guide for teens, but adults can read it too. Okay, so from teenagers, that evolved later down the road, still knowing I was going to help others, domestic violence, and the self-defense stuff. Okay, so this is a lot of information. I know I'm talking really fast, but I just wanted to start with this video just to kind of explain that the spiritual stuff, it can go really deep. It can, but with going deep, it can explain a lot of things in life if it's part of your path to learn about it, I guess to say, because not a lot of people know what they're doing here. I don't think they even know what I'm talking about when I talk about the soul's journey, but a lot of young people, there's so much information out now. I think they're definitely curious, but there are still atheists and different people, different belief systems, of course. But the bottom line of knowing these things, aside from, what do you call it, knowing your mission and purpose and what you are to do here, is, I don't know, it's pretty kick-ass to realize that not only life is connected, but that you can make things with your mind. You can create with your reality. And I know that that sounds really fantastical and out of this world, and what the hell are you talking about? But just start practicing. And I'm not saying anything new. I think I can just give you really realistic examples from my life, which I'm not going to do in this video right now. of creating. I mean, it's a basic thing of you think of somebody, they text or call you, or you run into them. It's little things like this that I think just a lot of people don't pay attention to. That's all that it is. Because sometimes I'm like, what am I doing that's different? What am I saying that's different? And really, a lot of it is my life experience going from an introvert to more of an extrovert. I try to choose, I feel like, when I want to be extroverted most of the time. But I think I like it, which I never thought that I would be like this. But I do need to shut it down sometimes because talking, I just talk too much. But sharing with you my experiences, I'm sure that a lot of people would like to hear about them because, again, they're pretty kick ass. And plus, after the last 2 years, especially with first responders, I mean, literally every time when I was working in this cafe, every time I would have the thought they would drive by or drive in the parking lot or come in. So I already have always known over these past, I would say 3, 4 years or something, mental health, and specifically with them, I'm supposed to be doing something, whether it is short term or long term, I guess it depends on where I am called to next. But, praying and talking to myself and however you want to call it, your higher self, if you want to call it talking to God, sometimes you'll hear people say, or guides like saying like, oh, they aren't your thoughts. um, Messages, like I think I've gotten messages in like 3 words before just by asking a question. So to confirm from my experience, I don't necessarily say God told me. It might just be source or oneness or whatever it is, or creator or the divine. I like to use different words, but whatever you would like to call it that. But talking to yourself, asking questions, you can get so many answers that way. And again, not everybody has this big divine plan and purpose. I think some of us have bigger ones than others. But once you get on this journey, again, it becomes an addicting addiction, just like the growing of myself is just, what do you call it? The growing of myself. Okay, sorry, I was getting distracted. The growing of myself, um, different odd things will happen. And I think the oddness really comes from just like, wow, the power of your mind and just creating. And when you see it happen in front of you, it's crazy as shit. So I'm not the only one talking about this. I think just as more and more it becomes in the mainstream and becomes more acceptable, just like the ghost talk and all that sort of stuff, the dark side, um, yeah, it's just going to become more, I think, acceptable. Um, People are sharing stories and different things like that. And like I said, too, paying attention, life experience, being intuitive, studying human behavior, all these things that I've studied, um, and researched and continue to research, play a part. So that was a lot. But I basically just wanted to share a little bit of my spiritual journey in a nutshell and kind of explain the whole coincidence thing. And when I say and laugh about the meant to be, and you say it in front of other people, and sometimes they still look at you like, what? Like, what do you mean? Or, they're looking at you weird. Sometimes it is because, well, they haven't had any experiences. And I've just had these spiritual experiences and a lot of creating and a lot of just magical things. Um, the journey, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and end this before I start really, really babbling and going on to other things. But maybe this video helped you. I don't know. I don't know, people. I'm just sharing. I'm here to share the rest of my life, these different sorts of things. And maybe they help you because I hope they help you in different in different ways, but everybody's on their own journey. And I want to close by saying that nobody has to understand your journey. Okay. And don't be afraid to share this with other people, because there's a lot of other people that are going through similar things. And that's why certain platforms and stuff are great for people to be able to do this, for those of us, especially me too, don't really have little to no social life. And I tell people, and they're pretty fascinated about it, but at the same time, they don't understand. So I'm just sitting here like, is it just me? Like, I know it's not me, because there are other people, that are into this stuff too. It's very, very fascinating, and you will realize how you can utilize it in a very positive way for change and changing culture and everything I talk about. That there's so much we have been programmed to believe. And when we expand our minds, which I did through ethnic music and food, that was about 19, when I really expanded, and learning about so much about other cultures and so much great music and so much that I feel like in some ways, I don't know to say missing out on, but how you can take all these things and incorporate it into your life. And the same thing as becoming an extrovert, because definitely being an introvert held me back. I respect parts of it, but it did not help me grow. And learning to be able to include myself, um, instead of feeling left out, all those things of that person I was before. um, it fascinates me, because I'm just not that person anymore. So I will talk to you next time. And that's about it.